Namaste. Welcome to Sipping on Stories podcast. I'm your host Sehereen, and this is where we welcome women healers and spiritual leaders from all around the world to come and share their journeys and their experiences. Thank you so much, everyone, for showing lots of love to our podcast episodes. And if you're new to this channel, welcome. Please like and subscribe to this channel so we can continue spreading some love. Thank you. Namaste, Bryony. Welcome to Sipping on Stories podcast. I am very happy to have you here today. First of all, tell us where you're joining us from.
I'm joining from Kapiti Coast, New Zealand.
Amazing. That's close to Wellington?
It's Wellington region, yeah, about an hour north of Wellington.
Amazing. And what choice of beverage have you got for us today with you?
I've got a very special beverage. I have kawa, which is a herbal tea here in New Zealand. It's made of leaves from the kawa tree, and it's very, very nice.
Okay, interesting. So how does it taste like? I've never heard of the tea, but
Kawa, yes. It's got a really unique flavor. It's quite sort of aromatic and quite like a floral tea, like a Earl Grey or something like that, a strong floral flavor to it.
Oh, okay, interesting. I'm definitely going to try it if it's available here in Australia, or I'm going to ask one of my friends from Wellington to send it to me.
You probably would have to get one of us to send you a couple of leaves, yeah.
Yep, interesting. All right, awesome. So Bryony, thank you so much for really joining us today. And what caught my eye is that with the kind of work you do, especially with the voice and how you heal the voice and how is that you work with your clients. So it got me a bit amazed, and also because of they say that when creativity is flowing through you is a way of connecting to the divine, and you also connect to the divine with your voice as well, which I only learned recently. And that's why it all made sense to me that why even in Indian culture and in so many culture, we practice singing. We have devotional songs. It helps us to connect to the divine in such a pure form. So, and I was like, it was like an aha moment for me. So with that, I would love, to kind of go ahead and, kind of just unpack a few questions I have for you.
For
So
sure, yeah.
yeah. So your journey into voice and sound energy healing began as a personal quest for healing, as you had told me. But what was the turning point that made you realize that this work was your life's purpose?
Beautiful question. So the way it started for me was when in my 20s, when I was unwell with chronic fatigue syndrome. Part of the way in which I healed was through using my voice and using vocal healing methods that really shifted my energy, uplifted my energy, and the change in my energy through using song and sound in a well-being holistic way was so profound that it really showed me that this was a really important thing. And singing and using the voice for well-being within a kind of spiritual and holistic framework is the essence of what I do and what I teach now and what I support my clients with. But it impacts so many different areas of life, and that's what really showed me how important it was.
Okay. It's interesting, isn't it? I have, when I speak to a lot of my guests on this show, there has always been this common thing where either it was that they got into what they're doing is because they wanted to heal themselves, or there was something so dramatic that happened in their life. There was a dramatic incident that kind of pushed them into it. So I see kind of a pattern there. And I have seen that in my own life and in many people around me as well, especially who are, in that path of connecting to energy and connecting to their higher self. So that's wonderful, and it's amazing work you're doing. So congratulations on that. So
Thank you.
yeah, why, my next question is that why do you believe the human voice holds such a unique and powerful ability to catalyze transformation and healing?
I think the answer to that question is multifaceted. I think, the many people have said the voice is the shows the soul. We speak, and the energy of our voice, the timbre of our voice, the pitch of our voice, the quality of, which is a very subtle quality of the energy of the voice, basically carries the energy of the soul. And in the training that I've done with the voice, we've explored the energy of the God note or the soul note that each voice or each person has within them, a particular resonance and a particular note or range of notes that really, when they use it, can bring great healing and alignment and balance to them, and also is an expression of their soul being. So for me, I feel that the voice is really powerful for that purpose because it shows the soul. And also, for us as business owners and for people, because I do work a lot with well-being business owners and small business owners of many kinds, our business is also can be an expression of the soul, particularly in holistic practices and heart-centered businesses. The work is the expression of the soul, and so the voice is really central to that. So for these reasons, I think it's really important. And also, the work that I teach in the retreats and the workshops that I offer, some of it is about using the voice for manifestation. So we can use our voice to express and to communicate, and we can use our voice for energy healing, and we can use our voice actually through particular practices that I teach to help us manifest certain things in our life and to clarify our life direction and purpose. So it can be used in that way as well.
Do you think there could be a scenario where you can use this for, from a negative perspective? Because, when you hear a sound, there could be certain sounds that uplift your mood instantly. There might be certain sounds that can just kind of pull you down as well. I'm pretty sure, because I kind of see this where if you're listening to certain songs from the 80s or 90s, you instantly feel a bit more lightened. You light up, you want to move your body, you want to dance a little bit. And I find myself, I'm a 90s kid, but I find myself listening to 80s, 90s, and 70s music, and I enjoy it. And it's so with some, my family as well. And with the new age music that's coming out, or the sound that's coming out, it doesn't just sit right with me. I just can't hear it for a long time. I get a headache and I don't enjoy it. I'm not sure if there's something that you've gone through or you experience as well, but I wanted to take your kind of input on what your opinion, your thought was.
Well, I think that's a really interesting question. And the first thing that I thought of when you started talking about this was obviously sound can have different effects on the human body, and different individuals will respond differently to different sounds. But there's actually a whole lot of scientific research that's being done at the moment into ways that we can use sound for medicinal purposes, and that is both to harmonize and heal but
Mm.
also to break down and destroy.
Mm.
So there is scientific research that's being done into using sound frequencies to break down and destroy cancer cells. And it can be done with other
Mm.
forms of density in the body. So, sound can have a very harmonious, growing, positive effect, or
Mm.
it can have this effect which actually breaks down and shifts things. And so that's what kind of came into my head, which is slightly different to what
Mm.
you're talking about, but it does speak to the fact that different sounds can have different impacts on the
Mm.
body. And
Mm.
it's really important for us to seek out music and sounds that help us feel good. That's the most important thing.
Yeah, I cannot agree more. There was this incident that I would like to share. Is I was kind of exploring. I was in this phase of my life where I was exploring certain sounds, certain frequencies, certain healing sounds and frequencies. So I came across this particular sound and frequency on the internet, and I was listening to that sound for like maybe 10 minutes, and then I got a headache, and then I was down with the fever afterwards, and I was completely okay before that. And that got me
Ah,
thinking, like, what just happened? And so there is so much out there on the internet, and people absorb so many things. So I'm not sure
yeah.
what you would
Well,
recommend. Yeah.
actually, what's just come to me in hearing you say that is that what that could have been, what it could have been actually, that it was healing sound which caused a healing crisis in you, because often when we get a headache or fever or cold symptoms,
Hmm.
that can be due to the fact that our energy has shifted and we're having a detoxification. Because a lot of those new age frequency sounds,
Mm.
they do have a strong impact on the body. And if it was having a kind of clearing effect on your energy field, that could have caused the headache
Mm.
and the fever.
Mm. All right. That's a very interesting perspective, that you've just given me. Um,
Yeah, well, I also practice Reiki healing, and I teach Reiki healing as well as voice work. And often, I always say at the end of the healing session to my clients, you may get a cold or a headache. It
yeah.
might come up in the next day or two, and it's part of the clearing process. So it's not unusual after receiving energy healing of some kind or another to
Mm.
get symptoms.
Okay. That's very interesting. Thank you for kind of giving that perspective. It's very interesting, and I'm gonna maybe look into it a little bit because I'm very
For
curious and
sure.
try to understand what's happening. But I'm pretty sure there's so much out there, and there's so much we're absorbing. And you would maybe agree that when we kind of go into this, we have some kind of mentorship and some sort of guidance that we should seek, and not just absorb anything and everything that's out there too. So
For
that's
sure.
something like a disclaimer that I would always give. Um, as we talk about sound, this is another thing I wanted to touch upon is instruments. And you shared a lovely photo of yours with me playing the harmonium. And I would like you to kind of give a little insight into how did you, I mean, decide that that's the instrument that you're going to get? Because there's so many instruments out there, and why harmonium? And for how
Mm.
long have you been playing it?
Oh gosh, yeah. So I've been playing the harmonium about 22 years.
Mm. That's
And the reason that I decided to start playing the harmonium is because it's an instrument which works really well with the voice.
mm,
It works well with the melody of singing, and that was the main reason why I chose it. And also, it works well when you share voice in a group session. So when I lead people singing in a group, the harmonium is a really good instrument for me to use.
Yeah, amazing. And yeah, that's it's funny how it came up because I just recently learned a lot about it. So I think that was an interesting seeing, and I was like, ah, that's wonderful, amazing. So, over your 27 years of practice, what has been the most profound or unexpected transformation you've witnessed in someone that you work with?
I think the most perhaps unexpected and most gratifying for me was and this has happened in a couple of people, a few people who I've worked with one to one, doing voice empowerment coaching and working, and she has experienced a really profound shift in her life experience, a really profound stepping into her best life, and lots of miracles kind of starting to happen. Basically, what's happened is that through the voice work
Mm,
and the prolonged use of voice work over a period of weeks and months. I think this particular client was working with me for 3 or 4 months.
mhm.
She resulted in really shifting her energy in a significant way. And also because we did do some of the work around manifestation, that caused a lot of new opportunities to come into her life. And I've seen this in other clients, ways in which life has shifted quite significantly.
Interesting. Yeah, it's so intriguing what the sound or the voice can do for you. So, and I think Bryony, we also talked about how the voice is because it's linked to your throat, um, and you also help. It also helps in kind of speaking your truth, basically helping
Definitely.
women speak the truth or anyone going through the voice healing, and even maybe leadership roles as well or going into leadership
Definitely
roles as well.
leadership. Yeah.
Yeah. So what's your kind of take in that, and if you can give us a little bit into how that kind of works for maybe our viewers, listeners who might be seeking to how they can help themselves with be better able to speak their truth.
Yeah, definitely. So speaking the truth is so central to this energy center. And often what happens is that we might be experiencing blockages here
Yeah.
and a feeling of not being able to speak the truth in the most powerful, effective way. And so when I work with people, both one to one and in groups, we work with practices which strengthen the voice and strengthen our knowledge of our voice and our
Mm.
relationship with our voice. And that can really cause a profound shift in the embodiment of the personal truth, the soul truth. And so I teach a whole lot of voice practices that strengthen and develop the voice as an instrument
Mhm.
and a musical instrument and also a speaking instrument. So I work for people speaking and singing. I work, I teach some things around public speaking and leadership, and also for people who are interested primarily in singing, we look a lot at pitch and tone and
Mm.
strength of voice. But both these things affect one another. Often people will explore both aspects.
Yeah. Interesting. And in your work with how you strengthen the voice for people, so have you come across any incidents where uh, it might have come through in a session, either in a group or one-on-one, as why there was a blockage to begin with, maybe in that
Mm.
central part of their throat? Was this linked to maybe, I don't know, this life, their childhood or traumas? So what is your kind of thought um, or what your experience has been in that area? Yeah.
Often it has been the case that particularly women who come to see me, but also I've worked with some men one to one who
Mm.
have had similar experiences, and often it has been childhood experiences, experiences of being told to be quiet, not to be heard, not to sing. Um, yeah, and often as well. So that's the most common cause of blockages around the throat chakra,
Right.
is that feeling of not being in one's power, and also the feeling of not being heard, not
Yeah.
being silenced. And this is quite a profound experience. And when for example, I teach a 5-week course as well, where we go through a kind of voice empowerment journey over the period of the 5 sessions.
Mm-hmm.
And that starts with a profound look at the relationship to the voice, and we look at the people who have supported us in the past and people who have not helped us in the past around our voice.
Mm.
And then I do a kind of different energetic clearing around that, and we work with different energies of forgiveness and healing. But it can be quite profound for people to, because many people experience the block in the throat but don't actually have an awareness of where it might have come from.
Mm. And kind of realizing and understanding where this trauma is coming from. And of course, that it might give them a sense of understanding and relief, in a knowing.
Yeah. And it can cause some profound shifts in the experience of the voice when we start to do a little bit of digging and a little bit of exploring around those
Mm.
early relationships. And obviously, those are really important. And what tends to be the case is that sometimes there will be adult situations that are mirroring the childhood experiences.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. There's so much to things, right? I mean, you need to only like kind of dig deeper to find out. I feel like um, working with energy is the only way to kind of go deeper into things. Of course,
Definitely, yeah.
you've got your medicine, you've got your mainstream stuff, but that's very superficial, very physical to to a certain extent. It's required, but I really do, encourage our viewers and listeners to kind of dwell or even research to look up what energy healing is and what it can do. So I think this is a great example because we are looking into the root cause of things, right? We are not kind of popping pills just to kind of suppress the symptom, but kind of going to the root cause of things and healing that root cause.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, always fascinates me. That's great. And yeah, sorry, you were.
I was just going to say, and the different kind of conscious voice practices that I teach through the courses and things, basically they are energy practices. And
Mm,
so, all the ways in which we can use the voice, we're using it as an energy tool, and it causes a shift in the whole mind, body, spirit energy. And it can be quite profound. It is definitely energy work and holistic work.
yep, definitely agree. And you also mentioned, Bryony, that your connection to nature plays a significant role in your practice. So
It
how
does.
does, yeah, and so how does this relationship influence your approach to creating sacred healing spaces?
Beautiful. Yeah. So nature is very important to me as a healing energy, and as an energy that supports full kind of energy alignment and spiritual alignment. And
Mm.
interestingly, just on Saturday, I'm going to be leading a amazing solstice singing workshop where we're going to be outside among the trees. You know, it doesn't happen often. Often my sessions happen inside, but you know, that opportunity to be outside and to be directly in connection with natural forces whilst exploring these transformative voice practices, it
Mm,
just adds a deeper level. So whenever I can practice outside and share with people outside, I do, because it creates a deepening of the impact of the voice work.
yeah.
But even when I work with people one to one, you know, basically the clearing of the voice and the getting in touch with speaking our truth, it's like you're getting in touch with your natural voice. So it's like, you know, there's an energy of nature in the voice itself.
Mm, mm. I have a question. Can everyone have, the quality of a singer? Can everyone be a singer?
My training and my background teaches that we all have a voice and we can all use our voice in different ways to create music and to create healing.
Mm,
And I definitely teach voice empowerment techniques that are accessible to absolutely everybody and will impact both the speaking and the singing voice and improve its strength and confidence.
mm.
And, you know, so that absolutely everyone is open to that.
Yeah. Wow. That's interesting, isn't it? Yeah. Okay. And as we talk about healing and sound healing, and if you're looking into the future, so what are your hopes for the field of sound healing, and what exciting new projects are you working at Heart Song Healing?
Thank you for the question. So I think what I was discussing earlier, where I was talking about the research that's being done now into using sound medicine to cure cancer,
Hmm.
that is, you know, that's really the cutting edge of sound technology and sound medicine, and that's very exciting to me. And I do continue to study and keep in touch with all that cutting edge technology that's happening, and that's something that I love very much, and enjoy bringing awareness of that into my work. And
Hmm.
the work that I'm kind of moving towards at the moment is doing more gathering together of groups in a kind of intensive containers like retreats and the 5-week course, to just to bring people together so that we can kind of develop a group energy and a group shift and a group transformation with the voice.
Hmm.
I mean, obviously, I still continue to work with my one-to-one clients, and
Yeah.
I very much love that. And there are many people for whom one-to-one work is very important.
Yeah.
But I am excited by what I'm developing at the moment with my retreats coming up.
Amazing. So tell us a little bit more about the retreats. I'm kind of intrigued to kind of know where, how are these retreats kind of held? And I would imagine, yes, they happen in person, and who it is for, and what do kind of people who engage or come to these retreats take away afterwards?
Beautiful. Yeah. So I have one retreat coming up in March in New Zealand, here in the Kapiti Coast, which is in a beautiful setting. So nature is very important. And then I'm doing another retreat in England at the end of May, which is also in beautiful nature in the Lake District. So I've chosen deliberately settings where the energy of nature will support the transformation of the voice work. And the retreat that I'm running in New Zealand in March is open to both men and women.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a retreat that incorporates the energy of visioning into the voice work. So we're going to do a lot of deep voice work,
Mm-hmm.
sounding, conscious sounding, and also some work around visioning and journaling and vision boarding in terms of our plans going forward. And
Mm-hmm.
it's held in the energy of the equinox.
Right.
So it has that powerful kind of energy of change that can happen because it's the equinox, which is the energy of balance. And
Interesting.
yeah, so the retreats include yoga, cacao ceremony. So they're very nurturing and healing in that way, a good way to step out of everyday life and enjoy exploring your voice. And
Mm.
the ways in which this helps people is, first of all, it gives people a break, and it gives people the opportunity to step into a greater relationship with their voice. When I ran a retreat in August, people said on the last day that they had experienced their voice in a way they had never done so before. It was a new experience of their voice. So I'm creating these spaces for people to come in to experience their voice in a new way, receive some healing and nurturing time through the yoga, and also there's going to be a sauna in the retreat
Mm.
on in March,
Yeah.
and nature connection and cacao ceremony and some visioning work as well.
Yeah, beautiful. And given that it's happening in New Zealand, you'll be past summer as well. So I
It
think,
will be. It'll be a lovely late summer.
yeah,
March is a lovely time of year here.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, it sounds beautiful. I was just imagining it. Uh, and in Bryony, you mentioned a lot about manifestation. Um, and there's so much we hear about manifestation. In your experience, in your words, for our benefit of for our viewers and listeners, what is manifestation? What is your take on manifestation, and how does that work?
Yeah. So there are lots of teachings and understandings, but essentially the process of manifestation is about clarification and alignment with the
Mm.
energy of that which you wish to bring into your life. And using voice practices can really speed that up and strengthen that, because it really clears the energy, and it can cause a lot of change in that way, a lot of positive change. So basically, manifestation is about kind of clearing the road between you and a desired outcome.
Mm.
And different kinds of energy work can really help with that. And certainly the voice practices that I teach around that make a real difference.
Right. Does with this practice, does that include like affirmations as well?
Well, that's a different kind of thing, a way of using the voice, but that is a good practice. And in the 5-week course that I teach, we do a whole process around affirmation and also some mirror work where we speak to ourselves in the mirror.
Right.
But the voice practices that I teach that help with manifestation are more to do with different soundings, and their energy sounds that work with the different energy centers.
Mm.
So they basically clear the flow of energy in the energy centers.
Yeah, beautiful. Amazing. And with this kind of podcast, I always, get our guests to or talk about some actionable insights that our viewers and listeners can take. So I want every episode to be impactful for our viewers listening to this podcast. And if you can give us any tools or tips that we can, our viewers can take away today in order to kind of, strengthen their voice? What practices they can do at home that are easy to do, where it could be beneficial for them, maybe in their corporate jobs or even their relationships, to just speak up, or
Yeah,
how they can
definitely.
use their voice more and more.
Definitely, yeah. So, one important thing to remember is to remember that your voice is important and that everyone has a voice and everyone's voice is important. And the other important thing is, how do you speak to yourself internally around your voice? Do you have a story that's running about how weak or whiny or something your voice is? I always encourage people to do a bit of journaling around looking at how do they feel about their voice and how are they internally speaking about their voice, how, what's the relationship to the voice that's there internally. And there are a whole lot of practices that I teach that can really strengthen the voice, and I'm really happy to teach them. They take quite a bit of time to teach, but a simple one that I can share with you that is very impactful as a stress reducer, a way of using the voice to reduce stress, and also it does strengthen the voice when used over a period of a number of weeks, is the practice of humming. And I do have on my website a guided meditation about transformative humming, which people can sign up for, and it breaks it down as a practice, because there's different steps to go through. But essentially, any kind of humming practice that we do in a conscious way, so we do the humming and then we scan through our body, and it's proven by science that humming practices reduce the blood pressure, reduce the heart rate, increase dopamine and increase serotonin in the body, and also increase nitric oxide, which is another really good energy in the body. And all these things can make a real difference. So remember, your voice is important. Remember, you have a voice. Do some exploring around find out what it is you're saying about your voice to yourself. And also, whenever you're stressed, try doing some humming.
Amazing. That was so powerful. Thank you so much, Bryony. And unfortunately, that's all the time we have. Time just flies when you're just so absorbed and just receiving and enjoying a wonderful conversation. But thank you so much for those, sharing your journey, your insights, and the power of the voice, the power of the sound. I think it's been a very amazing and impactful episode. And I will, of course, go ahead and, I've linked the information about your retreats and information about your website. So viewers and listeners, I encourage you to go and really absorb and look into these practices, because it's really going to strengthen your voice. That's going to be helpful in so many aspects of your life. It's just not work and your relationship with, your family, your spouse, and even with yourself. So I think it's a very, very powerful tool. So again, Bryony, thank you so much.
Pleasure. Namaste. I've really enjoyed our conversation. Thank you for the opportunity. It's been lovely.
I loved it. Thank you so much. And thank you again for coming on Sipping on Stories podcast. I'm so grateful that we get to spread this love together. Thank you.
Yeah, namaste.
Cheers.